The Phantasmagorium is proud to present another random review. In 1979, in space, no one could hear you scream. And then it was war, and then prison. Resurrection versus predators onto Prometheus and Covenants. There was always an inevitable revisiting of this universe, and it seemed like a good bet in the hands of writer and director Fede Alvarez. The aesthetics and atmosphere of the trailer looked to be on point. So how was 2024's Alien Romulus? Kat is here. I am Scotty R37, and we are joined by friend of the channel and xenomorph aficionado Ernesto. Steve is 37 minutes from impact. How are you guys doing this evening?
Very well.
Very good.
Excellent, excellent. It's Friday. It's a hangout. We all saw Alien Romulus, and we all are sort of fans of the franchise, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be fun to have a breakdown. It is a pleasure to see you again, Ernesto. But before we get to the main event, hello, Infinity is in the chat. Thank you for the goblet. What else have you guys seen that you would like to sort of give a tip of the hat, a review, throw your 2 cents kind of thing? What's going on in the world of movies for you guys?
I saw the Crow remake today, and I couldn't believe that Madam Web was a tiny bit better, because at least Madam Web was so bad it was laughably funny. The Crow was just unforgivingly boring. One-dimensional characters. Eric Draven's kind of a sappy, chunky. Danny Houston's a boring villain. It just goes on and on. It's like, yeah, there's carnage, but I don't really care. There's nothing spooky or ethereal about it. It's just, it exists. It feels like it's a movie. I'm like, why didn't they make this 20 years ago when the 2000s were littered with all sorts of ridiculous remakes? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, because this has been in development hell for probably that long.
Yes.
And
how many stars went through it? We had Jason Momoa. We had, I think, another Skarsgård brother was attached at one point. We might have also had Luke Evans, Orlando Bloom, maybe. I mean, he fits the mold of a Draven.
Sure.
yeah, I give it 1 out of 5 stars. It was just that bad.
2 out of 10.
It
Yeah.
would have been better if it had Sydney Sweeney.
No. I also saw Zoe Kravitz's first film, Blink Twice. She's a good director, but this is a movie where, you know, kind of like Stepford Wives or Don't Worry Darling, you kind of know what's going on right when the movie starts, and the trigger warning that MGM puts on at the beginning is very strange and gives it away even sooner.
What is it?
You know, sexual assault and that kind of stuff. But it's like I'm watching it, and the characters are entertaining. It's fun, but it's like, you know, kind of an idea what the climax is going to be when you get there. But the final scene, I thought, wow, that's really interesting how you end it. Like, good, you got me. Let's expand on this a bit. But it doesn't. It's just like, I'm like a haha, got you kind of ending, and then it just stops. I'm like, no, like, let it keep going. I gave that one, 6 out of 10. And then Ernesto, you saw another film.
Yes, I saw Strange Darling. I was supposed to double feature it with that coming of age comedy, Dee Dee. I think that's the name, but it was like 90 minutes between show times plus another half hour for the movie to start. So I'm just like, I'm going home. I'll watch this some other time. I'm looking forward to it, but it was just like, no, I'm going home. And in my defense, I went to the gym before that, so the exhaustion was kicking in earlier than it needed to.
The
But
adrenaline wore off.
Yeah, I saw Strange Darling. It's a pretty quick sit, like when you're watching it. Like, I think it's like less than 2 hours, unless I'm mistaken. And somehow this movie decided to proclaim in the beginning that it was shot in 35 millimeters. If you read all the reviews, they're all going to be like, somehow, some way, this movie needed us to know that it was shot in 35 millimeters. And you would think that would be the most interesting part of the movie, but no, because you're watching the trailers for this movie and you think it's going to be that straightforward thriller, girl is being chased by by this guy, and we're gonna probably root for her to get out of a bad situation. How did we get here? How do we get out of here? And there is a twist in this movie. And I called the twist right because the movie is split into 6 chapters, and the chapters are in out of order because it's trying to build that suspense, build that mystery, and reveal all the nitty gritty. But here's the problem. Usually, even before the twist happened, usually in a movie like this, you're supposed to like the character that we're supposed to be rooting for before the twist. And I did not like this character one bit. And even after the twist, I started to shift focus on another character that I wanted to like. And then this movie is just mired with people making dumb choices over the simplest things. And because of those dumb choices, even whether they're intentional, because that's the plot needs to move forward, it's like, I don't care. I checked out right after the twist because you don't have a likable character. You already lost me once we got to this point. And then as we keep going, it's just like, wow, you just don't give a damn about me as your audience member. Now, other people will like it and they'll talk about how deep the red colors are, the cinematography, which is great. The cinematography is great. The suspense leading up to some stuff, you're trying to figure out what happened. How did we get here? That is all great. And the acting is well done, and as being directed, on a technical level, it is a very good movie. As a whole experience, I wouldn't watch this movie ever again. I might own it just to remind myself never again, but I won't watch it again.
And the name of the movie, one more time?
Strange Darling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to welcome Tiger Stripe to the chat because she is very engaged and she was curious herself. Which movie is he talking about? Please remember to restate the title through your commentary. Appreciate the feedback because it is making sure that the newcomers know what we're talking about, and then also hello to the Phantom Organist.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'm typically Cinematic Universe who pops in and out the chat just to bully Scott for a bit, so that is me.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. And that's fantastic. And what would you? How many stars? What was your rating?
Well, I think I haven't put it on Letterboxd yet, the rating, but I would probably give it like a 2 out of 5.
Okay, 2 out of 5. Is that like a 4 out of 10? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to go there. If you want to do
well, you just have to multiply it by 2. I'm an idiot. I apologize.
Just don't by 0.
Yes, never. So it's been a week, and in terms of Alien Romulus, are we agreed that it has been a success financially at the box office? It's doing well enough to be. It hasn't bombed. It's good. I don't pay attention to the business of film unless something that I love fails, and then I get very angry. So I'm not angry about this. So it must be doing okay.
I think it is. I think last I checked, it was almost 130 million worldwide. I think it opened around 40 something domestically, over 100 million opening weekend. And by comparison to Alien Covenant back in 2017, that movie domestically capped at 74 and internationally 166. So we're off to a good start. If it keeps the momentum, we might see a $300 to $400 million take in the end, which for an R-rated franchise that's been going this long, that's had its up and downs, that would be a very good finish.
Yes. Yeah, it's already at 124.5 million as of yesterday.
Yeah, so if it keeps the momentum and considering what's come out this weekend based on our expectations, there's going to be that floodgate of, hey, come over here. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's put some face huggers.
Oh, the face huggers. I loved it. So business aside, did you guys, anybody see it in IMAX? Did anyone see it in IMAX?
I watched it in LIMAX. So I had the sound quality, but not the screen size.
Yeah, me too.
It's still bigger screen than a standard
It is.
screen, though.
It is, and the light bulbs are brighter. So that's why whenever I don't go to the Harkins, which has the true IMAX, that's where I saw Avatar back in 2009 before I moved out to Arizona. I go to the one in Mesa, which is about an hour away from my house, because at the very least, I'll get great sound quality and I'll never have to bitch about the light bulbs.
That's yeah. I saw it.
It's the AMC app, so I don't have to pay for it. So
Yeah, I didn't pay for it either. I saw it at a regular Regal. I think the first time I saw it, it was on the biggest screen they had in the auditorium. But Regal doesn't have like a Limax version unless they have a. There is a specific Limax theater that they have, but it's way too far away. But several of the shots in the movie just look like it would be gorgeous to see on IMAX. Like all the shots in outer space just look like eye candy. Like, wow, this is just so amazing looking.
no, you can just print out. You can just print out a background wallpaper of the nearby planet and just the ice crystals in space. Like that in itself is like, Apple, get on this. You put it on your computer.
So,
yeah.
Let's get your thoughts on it first, Scott.
Well, no, I got to see it on sort of AVX. I guess that's LiveX. The sound quality was good. I was sitting a little too far back. Actually, no one wants to hear about me being caught in the rain. But the first time I tried to see it, I was caught in the rain. The second time I got to see it. And yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was great. I was on the edge of my seat. And I thought it was like beautiful. I thought that the world building and lore was fantastic. I enjoyed the characters. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I know that there are things that I didn't like, but they did not outweigh how much I liked it. There was stuff I could point at and say that sucked, but it didn't outweigh the stuff that I really, really liked, which is a lot of it. So I 8 out of 10.
Oh,
roll credits.
What did you think, Ernesto?
Well, out of the whole franchise, and this includes the two what's the word? Side adventures, spin-offs, the AVP movies, with the exception of those, because they do have Xenomorphs, even the famous Predalien that we all liked in high school, and when we watched it on screen, it was like, this is not what we were expecting at all. Yeah. And we couldn't see shit because everything was very dark.
Oh my stars.
And they give the Batman shit over, oh, it's too dark. Come on. But with that and the awkwardness of Alien Resurrection, this one, what I liked is that, for those who don't know, it's set between Alien and Aliens. So
are we just going to say spoilers? It's been a week. Like, spoilers.
Well, this wouldn't be a spoiler. This is pretty much...
No, but I'm just saying, like, if they slip, sorry, it's been a week. Spoilers for Alien Romulus. You'll be fine if you hear it.
Yeah, I'll restrain myself until somebody says it first and go from there.
All right. I'm going to say it.
Set between there, I like that for 85% of the movie, it brings it back to its, for lack of a better cliche term, to its horror roots. It's sci-fi horror. It's got the tension. It's great cinematography. Great. It's eye candy. Everything is eye candy in this movie. Even when someone's face is getting, violated by a face hugger, you want to just take a click and put it somewhere, because
new wallpaper.
It's just like the poster. It's deep red, but it says so much at the same time. You don't need to sell me more on this movie just by the poster, because we're not playing games. This is definitely your daddy's movie. So if you don't like it, go hashtag somewhere else. And I gotta say that for a cast that a couple years ago I had no idea who these people were, and at the same time leading up to this movie, we started seeing movies and TV shows with them. As a whole, even though they don't have that chemistry that the original cast of the Nostromo had, you feel for them because you already have their goal, and you're with them because they start out in shittiest place you can think in the galaxy. So of course you want to get out of this hellhole. So, but it is an alien movie, and not everybody's going to make it out. So all of it has been great tension. I like the mix of practical and some CGI, especially when you have that horde of face huggers that you see in that trailer, which we've never seen them move like that before. So I like seeing that as well. And a lot of callbacks to, to Prometheus and Covenant. As a whole, I probably would give the same rating, 8 out of 10. It might be a 7.5. Again, it's because the 85% of it was so strong, and the last 15% is a make or break. It doesn't break it for me, but I'm also just like, okay, Ridley, this is all on you. This is someone told him, put this there because we're still telling this story.
Well, and after we hear Kat's thoughts, I'm sure we can talk about the albino Slenderman.
Of course.
Yes.
I didn't think the movie was scary or particularly thrilling.
Yeah, but
I don't think it inhibits Ripley's victory at the end of the first one, like some people are saying. I love the idea that, because they kept saying throughout this franchise, oh, it's a perfect organism. And it's like, well, why? Just because it has acid blood? And it's like, oh, no, this movie justifies why it's a perfect organism. And contrary to the tagline in the original movie, you actually do hear the xenomorph scream when it goes into space, when it's in the vacuum of space at the very end of the first movie. So it's like, oh, okay, so it's still alive. So that's fine. I liked the lore of it. I didn't have a problem. I get that, Weyland-Yutani obviously isn't going to send a memo out to everybody telling them about all their evil projects. So the people interviewing Ripley from the company in the sequel obviously don't know about the events of this movie, because of course they wouldn't. I like that they spent a lot of time getting to like the first face huggers. Like they didn't just dock and here we are. But for some reason, I wasn't feeling there were certain shots that I liked, but I thought maybe it needed a better score during that time. Like when they're going through that vent, like that would have been a great time to pull a cue from Jerry Goldsmith from when Dallas is in the vents in the original movie, like that would, gear us up for that and get the claustrophobia building as we're just going, like, because you don't know what's going to happen. They did allude to Goldsmith's score a few times, which I did like.
Yes.
I thought it had some really cool action scenes in it that are fun to watch. I didn't like the VFX job with Science Officer Rook. We've seen that technology done a lot better in other movies. I don't know why it was so, at least to me, it looked really bad here, and it just took me out of it every time. I mean, I get the story logic as to why it is what it is. For those, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but it just didn't work for me. It was like,
But it works better when he's not there on camera and he's being seen through another screen. That
works very well.
Like right there is not uncanny valley, but when it's just the camera's right in the face, it's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, and if I may respond to that, like I sort of likened it to the idea of seeing young Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy. And you sort of give it a pass because he's supposed to be a computer program. And when you see Rook and he's not necessarily entirely human looking and there is an uncanny valley, my brain sort of dismissed it as, well, he's a goddamn robot.
Yeah, but that would have been a great showcase with the makeup department to make someone's face look almost identical to,
and it was dodgy.
Yeah.
Because something about CGI mouths are really hard to do when you're trying to make it look like an actual living person, as opposed to, like, if it's just an original CG character, there's nothing wrong with the mouth.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to make it look human as somebody whose face it just kind of, just a little uncanny valley there. The Prometheus references, I admit, I was a little lost on because it's been so long since I've seen that movie.
Oh, wow.
Because I prefer not to think about the fact that the xenomorph is not an alien anymore. But my favorite character in the movie was Andy. I thought David Johnson, I thought, was really good, giving that dual performance. Really likable character.
Him and Kaylee Fanning are the heart of this movie when you think about it.
Yeah, Andy's definitely the heart of the film.
Kaylee Fanning.
She's okay because she's like the timid person who gets, thrown into a situation she's not ready for. Okay, the other two, like the tomboy pilot, doesn't really get to do or say much. It's like, okay, the other girl, the sister of her ex-boyfriend, I can't remember that character's name. She's regular girl that you see in a million other slasher movies. Okay.
She's the screamer.
Yeah, Tyler, as the super responsible, normal guy, which made me think, oh, he's probably going to go first. So you just kept watching to see what's going to happen there. I did like Bjorn because he's like a dick, and they had a reason for why. I'm like, okay, that's a different personality, so there's something, to work with there.
They're all young. They're all young or they're very trash.
Right, and I just thought that they could have done more with the sheer amount of time they spent getting into the ship and doing all this stuff. I thought they could have done a lot more of the dialogue to make the characters more likable or interesting. Like in the original movie, we see that Parker and Brett are friends and they're immediately bitching about bonuses and they're teasing Ripley when they're turning on the valves. What? What's that? You want that? Like, it makes them funny or likable, gives them something fun for their personality. With these characters, it's like, okay, what, another day at the work? It's like, I didn't really connect with a lot of them. So once they started dying, I didn't really care.
I did have an affection for the characters, and I appreciated that they, like, one of the concerns that certain people in the audience have had is that they're all like mid-20s and they thought it was going to turn into sort of like a teen melodrama. I don't think it does. I think it shows young people in an effort to escape horrible circumstances on a shake and bake colony and what it's like to live under the thumb of Weyland-Yutani. Now, they have a certain level of autonomy. I don't know how they got the ship. I just assumed the ship was theirs. But they decided that they were going to go up to the space station. But before we leave the planet, I appreciated that Rain she thought she had fulfilled her obligations. Unfortunately, and I would assume because it's more costly to transport her anywhere than it is for the company to just keep her there for more servitude. I thought that the oppression of the company was well displayed, although heavy-handed. And so I found that the camaraderie between the crew was based upon collective desperation to escape. And it was interesting that the only reason that they didn't even want to take Rain, they just needed Andy because he was an android. And I love the fact that the android was named Andy.
Yeah, and then the ending with all the symbolism, because it's like, oh, it's literally Romulus. Okay, I get it. And it's like, okay, I like you. I could have done without that Promethean connection there, but it's like, okay, I get what you're doing, especially for a movie which was so heavily leaning into like the xenomorph iconography. And the last time you see them in the movie is like a non-event, and then it's like, oh, I guess we're not gonna see them anymore. So that was a little bit of a surprise. I did like but the visuals were banger, fun, probably popcorn movie, but it didn't. And there's a lot of parallels also in terms of like the climax and much of what's going on during the body of the film, like so many callbacks, and maybe I could have done with a few less callbacks, like let it be its own thing.
Yeah.
I've seen people react unnecessarily negative towards Andy making the callback to Ripley's famous quote from Aliens. But I'm in my head thinking, but wait a minute, in the beginning of this movie, there's precedence for that. It just happens to be, it fits. But I get why some people are kind of tired of callbacks and Easter eggs and cameos. They want something to have its own identity. This one is kind of like a coin toss. You either like it or you don't, but don't take it so personal.
Well, see, and I Ernesto, I want to say that you're referring to Game Over, man. Game Over. And I thought that was beautiful at the beginning when I think Bjorn is playing like a PSP or something. And then it says, Game Over, man, game over. And I liked that. I was like, that's cute. Because not only is Hudson saying game over, man, game over, but he's also referencing like some sort of futuristic Mario that I've never played. And I thought that was like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's retroactive. It doesn't bother me at all. But when Andy jumps on the spoilers, jumps on the skull of the alien and shoots it in the face and says, you get away from her. And I was like, that's it. Just stop there. Just stop there. Do not, don't. And then he's like, you bitch. And I was like, now you lost it. You blew it.
I like callbacks that, like you said, the game over thing, that kind of makes sense. And little things like where she has to get the alien in the end, so she's putting on the spacesuit and trying to hide some of that kind of stuff. But it felt out of character for Andy to say that, even though he's very protective of her. Like, he even hesitates after he says, get away from her. And he's like, what made you suddenly hesitate to say that? And it feels like it kind of breaks my immersion for a second into what's actually going on in the scene. And there were a few of those in this movie. Same thing when Rook says the line, I won't lie to you about your chances, but you do have my sympathies. I'm like, wait.
I thought that was...
Well, he's programmed. I'm pretty sure that's in his synapse.
Yeah. That's what I was
I'm
thinking
okay
in terms
with
of that, because he does...
So it's there.
Even Andy says, I prefer the term artificial person myself. I thought that was just sort of like a self-identifier within the Android community, I guess.
It is notable that Andy's personality is also distinctly different in the sense that had you not been told that Ash and Bishop were androids, you never would have guessed that. Whereas Andy, even in the beginning, he feels the way he talks and moves, it feels a bit more obvious. Because I guess they said he was a defective model. That
he was malfunctioning.
Yeah, he's malfunctioning, so it's a bit more obvious with him. But I thought he was my favorite character. And I did have to wait to my second viewing to catch my, wait a minute, where did all the facehuggers come from? And because it's like a blink and you miss it line with Rook explaining, I did blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense because the Romulus is clearly a science lab, unlike, say, the Nostromo, which just had that little infirmary.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm convinced that with this movie, and I'm pretty sure anybody would have picked this up by now, but you take this movie, you take everything that happens in Alien 4, and then you start letting your brain just fill in the blanks. Weyland-Yutani just wants everything to fail for the most part because they want to see just how bad it gets so that they can use it as a way of, okay, what is the worst case scenario with this perfect organism, and we'll learn from it. Because it feels like they just keep coming back for it. So I'm just like, okay, you guys are trying to, you're like, game over. Okay, restart the level. Let's bring another group of characters and let's try this again.
Well, but don't you think that the Alien universe is a sort of corporate dystopia where there is no government advocacy for the individual? You are just a bottom line in profit. And that's part of the existential dread and it was beautifully stated by Ripley. At least the aliens are just trying, they're not fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage. Like, there is something about the corporate issue. But yes, Tiger Stripes in the chat says,
are the characters in Romulus as big of idiots as the characters in Prometheus? No. Not even close. They're much smarter. It's just that
this movie has a meta commentary on that fact as well with the Andy character, because in the movie he gets an upgrade in order to navigate the ship and what the odds are basically to get out of there alive, and he pretty much just says it, well, you're human, you're all going to do the most base attributes, you're going to make stupid decisions. I'm here to prevent that from happening.
As for the Weyland-Yutani thing, I think it's interesting that in 9 movies now in this franchise, we still have not met the people at that company who are making these decisions who created Special Order 937 to send the Nostromo off course, who made the call to create the colony specifically for them to be fodder for the xenomorph thing. I mean, we saw Carter Burke as the middleman, but he was just the middleman. And in Resurrection, we just meet the deranged scientists who are experimenting on it, but we never got to see, or maybe I guess the other Bishop character from the end of Alien 3, the human one, who's trying to get her to, maybe he's the guy. I guess he might be the guy in charge. I always forget that because it's the very last scene.
Just to go off what Scott was saying, which kind of just molds both of our points together. They're playing the long game in order to tap into this very precious, rare resource that they want to just, sell it, sell it. I mean, wasn't what was his name? He was supposed to direct an alien movie
Oh,
himself.
Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. If you look at if you go to Super Void Cinema on YouTube, he does a very detailed documentary style research into all the behind the scenes concept art where the goal is to take one, grow it in a farm, brand it, legally own it, and now it is a product of Weyland Yutani. Like it would be like the end goal. Finally, they have their product, and then it's all gonna fuck up in the end. So.
Well, and that's exactly what Burke wants in Aliens. He's like, "Do you understand? We could be set for life." And it took me such a long time to figure out what that meant. But what he's talking about is that any advancement, prestige, money, anything from discovering this species is just, as far as he's concerned, it's just profit. He is an ultimate Ferengi.
Well, Rook also tells us what their actual goal is of finding it.
He's either lying or willfully misleading.
Not really, because if you think about it, okay, you own the xenomorph, but what can you practically do with that to make money out of it? I mean, it's like, because the weapons division's like, well, that's not going to work. You already have acid that you can make on your own if you want to make an acid projectile weapon. It's like, it's not really something that necessarily makes as much sense. But what Rook was talking about does make sense in terms, because they could still market that and make money off of that. They were selling that to, hey, you want it, these upgrades,
Oh yeah, they were.
I think the other application that I can see for the xenomorph is that they're always mining something out in space, and it's kind of like in Star Wars. When you go to the outer rims, the farther you get from the Republic, the more lawless and dangerous it is. So I guess the further they get from Earth, the more they want to mine and get humans out there, but the harsher the climate is going to be. So what would be the perfect creature to survive those elements and bend it to your will? It's like using dogs in the military, or as Jurassic World wanted to do, use raptors to go and hunt enemies in camps, and kind of like a red laser, and you have your right there.
Well, and just to sort of jump in, and with the face huggers on Romulus, those face huggers I thought were a product of the end of Prometheus. I thought that it was
remind me what happened at the end of Prometheus.
Well, David puts Daniels in her cryotube, and then he regurgitates little eggs.
That's Covenant.
Covenant. What did I say? Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Yeah, my mistake. So Covenant, and at the end of Covenant, he regurgitates two little face huggers in like bulbs, and when I saw it, I was like, why are they in bulbs? And my brain went straight to that in terms of the end of Covenant. Yeah. Because again, this takes place after Covenant. It also Alien, and so that possibility I thought was intriguing. But then again, maybe I think that one of the hardest parts of this movie is how it tries to weave the entire franchise together in one way or another. I don't think it's clumsy. I do appreciate the effort, but some people may think it is overly referential.
It does. I do like that they referenced or showed us a new process of the alien's life cycle we hadn't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like seeing how that thing goes from a scrawny albino little get into the giant monstrosity it is. I'm just like, finally. And then all the things on the wall, I finally understand what those things on the wall are for.
Yeah,
oh, nice, yeah.
In the original, it said just, it got into the pantry and ate all the food. And now it's like, no, it does this weird thing. Because same thing with the tunnel, the xenomorph tunnels and everything, and whatever they make them out of, like regurgitating or whatever it is. So that was really neat how it does that. And technically, the life cycle is still accurate. It doesn't need a queen. All the facehugger has to do is attack something that is a queen, and then it's going to produce its own, eggs in the same fashion. But
but also you can take into account the deleted scene from Alien or the restored scene from Alien where there is the cocooning of Dallas and Brett.
Well, you see that in the opening scene in this one, where the piece of the Nostromo they take has all of that cocoon nest stuff from the engine room.
Yeah.
The block that they take in.
Sorry, I'm going to do a little bit of accounting in the background here for a moment. It seems that somebody... oh, no. Sorry, I thought Ben was going to jump on. If you want a link, I can send you one.
Well, while we're waiting, I'm just going to just shamelessly plug.
Oh, nice. I love shameless plugs.
These are all steelbooks, by the way.
Mm.
I like this one, which is the first Avengers movie, but it's a Mondo cover.
Yeah.
Got it at Walmart. I snatched the motherfucker. I wanted it.
I don't think that...
Are there any other comments?
That this movie or Alien or Aliens was set up for sequels necessarily. Like Alien, I just kind of assumed that, it'll be happily ever after for Ripley. She'll make it home, whatever. Aliens, everybody thought, okay, so you have the surrogate family of Newt, Ripley, and Hicks, and they're going to be fine. This one, it's like, yes, there's the dangling plot thread of what is she going to do about the fact that Andy, is not allowed at the place they're going. But I also feel that's not something that necessarily demands a sequel. So I'm not sure if we'll see them again.
And there's not necessarily anything on the ship that they'll need.
No.
No, wait. Correction. The vial is still on the ship, right?
The which?
Oh yeah, the vials of stuff.
Yeah, it's still there, right?
Unless they left it on.
It has to still be there, right?
Yeah, it's probably still there. So yeah.
So yeah, there's still some.
I thought they got rid of the vials.
I can't remember. Man, I've
Neither
seen
can
it 3
I.
times. I didn't think about that.
Well, you had to.
Yeah, the thing is that I mean, I know we're gonna get a TV show on Hulu with.
Yeah.
So that'll be the
I don't
next step.
know.
That's by Noah Hawley. He does good stuff.
Although, yeah, he does. I do.
One of the things that Kat and I discussed when the Fox was purchased, that hey, how about we get a prestige HBO style series for aliens, and we're like salivating at the bit of the possibilities you can do with storytelling. And when Noah Hawley was attached, I'm like, you know what? I'm not a fan of everything Noah Hawley has done, but when he does something great, ooh, nice. Can I just say that aside from to sidetrack here, can I just say for that show, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, that main theme song is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Oh no, but that's the thing is that, and not to cut you off, sir. I do agree with you. There's a reason I have it on physical, but the thing is that for all of the trepidation and fear to an alien television show, we may get a Sarah Connor Chronicles. Like it might actually be good. Fingers crossed. Let's hope.
But removing, like, if we treat it like Covenant, Prometheus, and now Romulus, treat this as a anthology where different peoples are running across xenomorphs, and then you can still expand the universe, expand the mythology. I was gonna say before we get to the fourth act of this movie, because it's got 4 acts at this point, that I think this series, for better or worse, deserves to have at least one more shot to at least close it out for good, to bridge Prometheus and Covenant, that finally makes sense narrative-wise to when they arrive to the space jockey in the first Alien movie. Because if you just leave Prometheus as is, it makes no sense how we got from there to the beginning of Alien. Narrative-wise, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because when you start Alien, you have the farm of eggs right there, ready for the taking.
Yeah.
Makes no sense that how it didn't happen in Prometheus. And then in Prometheus, you still have that proto-xenomorph walking around. So we don't know what happened to that little thing. So,
but that's what I think is so... the part of the reason that I love Alien 3 so much is that it happened for no reason. There was no good reason. Why did Hicks and Newt die? No good reason. Random happenstance. The universe is indifferent to your suffering. And I kind of like the random nature of whenever the xenomorph shows up, it's usually just going to fuck up your plans.
Yeah.
Like you may have the best intentions or the worst intentions, but no matter what, the xenomorph is going to destroy whatever your intentions were. You will have no intentions tomorrow. And that is it is a nihilistic universe when I look at the Alien franchise. And specifically, like even with the original trilogy, when I think of one of the reasons that I love Weyland-Yutani is for the same reason that a lot of people love the Galactic Empire. It's the uniforms, yo.
Now, let me ask, would you be okay if you got a maxi series that explains Weyland and Yutani and the corporate merger?
Oh, I'd be totally down with that. Are we talking like Mad Men in the Weyland-Yutani universe? Or like Billions? It would be like Billions.
I give Romulus 6 out of 10, by the way.
6 out of 10? Yeah. Well, okay. Well, that's 2 below me. And I think I gave it a 6 when I was on Ben's show. So I'm a complete hypocrite and liar. But anyway, why a 6? What would have been better?
It was scary if there was tension and suspense and if it was thrilling. And I felt a bit, I mean, I love the visuals and all that, and I liked a lot of the scenes. I liked the story, but for some reason, even the scene when they're walking and have to remain absolutely silent because of the facehuggers, that should have been terrifying. For some reason, I just didn't feel anything. It's hard to do. Horror's hard to do, you know?
You know what kind of killed that scene when he was talking to his sister?
Oh,
that should have been an immediate attack right there, because it was like, okay, you're already breaking all the rules that Andy set out. You should already be swarmed by now, but it wasn't happening. So that kind of ruined the tension you were already setting. Because most of this movie, if you've played the isolation game, it takes so much of that, you know, because when you're playing it, you're like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're playing it with your headset and the microphone and everything, your breathing, the sound you make in your own background will attract the xenomorph to you because it's supposed to be that immersion.
That is true.
So I like that it kind of took those elements. And the scary and the thrilling, I'm of the mind that because we already know this franchise like the back of our hand, we know what's up. It's going to take a lot to scare us, basically.
The first movie, I think, still works as many times as I've seen it.
Yeah, but beyond that, the tricks have already been played out, and it's going to take someone very, very open-minded to try something new. And Fede Alvarez tried.
And I've said this before, Ernesto, so I apologize to the audience, but I feel like I should tell you is that one of my most fearful fictional predators is the facehugger. I am terrified of smothering. I think that it is an assault, a sexual assault on my face. And I think that it is something that would absolutely, like, it's terrifying. I have had nightmares about going into a shower, looking up into the top corner of the shower and seeing a facehugger, and then it's all over. It's all over.
But what do you do?
So it is terrifying. And so when you guys say it wasn't scary, I got to see like a field, more or less. Well, okay, fine, 15.
That was an awesome scene, by the way.
It was an awesome scene, and that was terrifying. I was like, I don't know.
Those things can move. Shit.
Yeah. So like, and it's one of the most terrifying scenes in Aliens is when Burke, that rat fuck son of a bitch, puts the 2 face huggers in the room with Alien or with Ripley and Newt.
I think the difference with that also is, you know, it's in the room with Ripley and Newt, but you don't know exactly where it is or when it's going to jump. Like this movie, the camera always shows you where it is. It tells you it's in the water getting closer. It tells you that, like, when it finally gets the girl, you see it come through the door, leap. So it's like, even in the original movie, when they notice that it's not on Kane's face anymore, they walk around looking for it, and they take a while to find it, and then suddenly it just comes down. It's like, oh, jeez. You know, because you're afraid not so much for the jump scare, but because of, like you said, of what the facehugger does, it's all going to be over. But in this movie, I felt like I could see all those jumps coming before they hit, and it wasn't having that same feeling. even when they're moving through the hallway, like if I couldn't see, like, in the old AVP game, you could get the smart gun and you, just like in Aliens, it makes the pinging noise when you hear that there's something close, and you're walking in there and it's not a xenomorph. You could hear the critter crawling of the facehugger, but you don't know exactly where it is, and that's terrifying. Well, when they're walking through the hallway, they show where every single one of them are. So we see them, and it's like, okay, maybe it's going to jump, maybe it's not. But like in Aliens, you don't know. Or an Alien, admittedly, we didn't know what it was at first when Kane stuck his head in there because we hadn't seen one yet. So that was scarier.
Would you stick your face in such a thing?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why he kept sticking down. Like once he lowered and saw that, it's like, oh wow, this is amazing. Time to go back up the rope and tell them, don't go down there and oh, let's ply around with this egg. Oh, it's open. Let's stick it. Like, dude, stop.
I have to be that guy. Human curiosity, man. Sometimes we need to see what the fuck it is. Like if the hairs behind your back are not growing or going up, you keep going until it finally, oh shit.
And what we've learned,
like half of the population will run towards the gunshots instead of running away from them. So
yeah, exactly. Well, and that was the running gag. Yeah. When I lived in Australia, it was like if you heard something in the bushes, you can tell someone who's not from Australia because they'd be like, "Oh, what's that?" And they'd go looking for it. And
you know what's funny?
Would be like, "Stay away from the poisonous shit."
But what's funny is I'm not from Australia, but I've seen enough of the wildlife that if I hear something in my head, I'm thinking, okay, out of everything I've seen from Australia, what could that possibly be? I don't know, but I don't have a flashlight. I'm going back inside. I don't want to play devil's advocate today.
Yeah. It was a werewolf. But Jill in the chat says the rest of the characters weren't developed whatsoever beyond young people with shallow attributes. Good, cute guy, mean British guy, bald girl, pregnant girl, Rain and Danny. I don't think that's fair.
I agree. I think she's right, though. I mean, that's my
thing would be is that it was less about who they were and more about what they wanted, and they wanted to get out, and that's the motivator. That's all you needed, the motivator.
I'm with you. I think it was a common goal, and also, bald girl was the pilot, so she was useful, and that's what I thought is that it was a matter of functionality. Pregnant girl was sort of a girlfriend of sorts, and then they didn't even want Rain, they wanted Andy, but they didn't want Andy because of Bjorn. Oh,
what's funny between what was pregnant girl's name?
I can't remember.
So pregnant girl, Navarro, and Bjorn.
Yes.
The moment Isabel Merced said, "Oh,
is it like
Rhea, something like that." But the moment she said, "Oh, who's the father?" "Oh, it's some asshole." I'm thinking, "Oh, Bjorn, you two-timing son of a bitch."
Oh no, but that's what happened. Fede Alvarez responded to a Reddit post, and he was like, "I think Bjorn was it Bjorn?
Or
was Bjorn's the jerk.
Yeah, Bjorn.
Well, it was one of the male characters had. It
wasn't her brother, Scott. It wasn't her brother.
It was not her brother.
Bjorn is also the guy with the one version of the British accent that makes him sound really stupid. Like, the joke that if anybody says something in British, even if it's stupid, it sounds brilliant and far more intelligent than you. Not with Bjorn.
Something in the water. There's something in the water. Penny for your talks, governor.
That's funny, but also kind of mean.
But it's it is.
That's an accent, Jesus.
But that's what people have been criticizing, and I think, I don't think it's warranted. I think he sounds fine. I think he does have a regional
voice. I was just making the joke.
Why'd you bring it up unless you wanted to point and laugh?
No, but it's funny. It's funny she brings it up because almost everybody has brought up the same thing. Oh my god, there's something
It
in
is
the
true.
water. There's something in the water. Like everybody's
Yeah.
focused on that single scene. I'm just like, yeah, there's something in the water.
But I felt like I did feel sympathy for Bjorn's character, just in the fact
I'm
that
surprised his finger didn't fall off. That thing looked like it was gone.
I thought that was going to happen too, because for those who don't know, there is some cryogenic gases sprayed to make it so that the ball Navarro or whatever the ball lady is,
Navarro.
yeah, and she's supposed to. That's how they get the face hugger off of her. But yeah, he gets some cryogenic spray on his hand, and I was like, oh, those fingers are gone. Like he's
I
gonna
was surprised he wasn't.
he's gonna touch something and they're gonna snap off like the end of Demolition Man.
I was surprised he was barely reacting to the acid falling on him, and melting.
It was yeah, but it was quick. I think he was just in shock.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
I mean, he had a lot of adrenaline trying to think he killed the xenomorph. So
yeah, that's like I'm like, dude, don't touch it. Just leave it there. Keep going. Lock the door.
now that I would call stupid, because okay, you grabbed the cattle prod, you went at it, you violated the hole right there, and you shocked it to death. That's where I'd be like, okay, even I wouldn't lean in to check if it's dead. I would.
And they already knew from Rook telling them that it had acid blood. And when you look up and see, the OG xenomorph, and it's like it pretty much is just missing a leg. And look at how big that hole is from just its leg getting blown off. It's like, see how big this thing on the wall is, Bjorn? I don't think you should touch it. It's probably a giant.
But also, Cat, it's Bjorn.
Yeah, it's Bjorn.
It's Bjorn. What do you want to do? It's Bjorn. He's an asshole.
It's just Bjorn. Yeah, he's a dick. Jill in chat says the entire movie sprang from that idea, the perversion of motherhood. I thought that Alien was just a perversion of motherhood.
Well, what did finding the Tiger Stripes? What did Tiger Stripes say?
I think there it is, just as I suspected, and that is response to Jill's character assessments.
Okay.
So I was just sort of moving somewhat forward, and everyone is agreeing.
Well, it does put the whole
Jill
thing of the whole the Romulus and Remus legend, and they refer to that a lot.
I thought that was great, and I was kind of curious if, because they said that this was Romulus, there was the Romulus station and the Remus station. Was this station together, or was this only the Remus portion? The Romulus portion.
They docked with the Remus portion, which was fine. The xenomorph havoc was wreaked on the Romulus side. We know it happened only 5.5 months earlier. Rook said it happened only 170 days earlier that they brought it on board, which is about almost 6 months. And so the Romulus side was the infected one, but it's basically like a mirror image of the same laboratory. And the movie's called Romulus because of the final creature and the symbolism.
Delightful.
Did you get it? Or, I can explain it.
Well, no, I understand the Romulus and Remus and the founding of Rome.
You know what's funny? I just got it.
Yay!
Yeah, you just got it. That's what it means.
The image of the mother with the milk and the kids and everything, and then at the end with the baby. Yeah.
Also, the fact that it's part engineer.
I know. It just randomly just went. Boop.
Yeah. So that's.
Well, how did you guys feel about the special effect of the hybrid at the end?
Oh, that looked okay. So I know they cast a guy who's like a 7'7" tall Romanian basketball player, but it looked CGI. Like CGI, it didn't look real, and that kind of took me out of it.
That was only in the end portion.
Only in the end portion? Okay, some of it just looked. Oh yeah, the ones up close.
This is very end spoilers.
Yeah, when it's up close and personal, that's the real person on their prosthetics and makeup. But when it's slithering around, that's CG. Yeah,
it looked like Spawn from 1990, whatever. It was so jarring. It looked terrible.
Yeah, that's where to me it was kind of like the make it or break it. Even though it didn't break it, I was at that time. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Really? Why? Why? Okay. I mean, it's not Alien 4 Resurrection.
I know.
It doesn't have floppy titties or anything.
Its testicles aren't going to and fro, which is nice.
But I'm watching that scene and in my head, I'm thinking, is this by any chance? And this is me just over exaggerating the possibilities. That is this by any chance a rebirth version of the jockey from Prometheus, and he's getting his revenge, or am I just
no
much into it?
And I've heard people say that it was kind of disappointing that it did represent the engineer, but I kind of liked that in terms, again, it explains the albino in Alien Resurrection. It does make sense considering there was black goo involved. And it was just like, I was okay with it. The thing is, and like I've never had, I am a childless man. But the thing is that when I see sort of violence or anything bad things happening to pregnant ladies makes me upset. And I've seen it in Alien Requiem. And when they said, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and I was like, "Oh, you're fucked," and I'm not going to be happy about it. And so when she gives birth to her little egg, and then it opens, like, this is terrifying, and really, like, the entire story of this is insane, and I cannot believe it. And I empathize with the pregnant lady who's like, well, I'm gonna die. I can't think of just myself. I have to think of my child. Let's inject this thing that the half robot told me was good. And then it's just, and it turns monstrous. And I find it terrifying. I find it really engaging. And then I see Spindly Noodle, the dancing boy, and it's like, oh no. I don't know why. Like, even when she finds why am I lactating like slime? And then the creature comes back and it's like, baby's gotta feed. And it's just unfortunate that it was a pipe cleaner person.
You mentioned, Ernesto, that you thought it was like a version of the space jockey from Alien Getting Revenge. How so?
Well, considering how the space jockey was so enraged with the bastardization of Dave the robot and the aspirations of Wayland and what he wanted, and he wanted to go back to Earth and pretty much just clean house, essentially. I just thought for whatever reason that whatever that portion of DNA was of the black goo that was injected had the memories and last will and testament of that same space jockey. Again, this is my brain just trying to
humans, right?
Huh?
Oh, wanting to kill the people. Yeah.
It never get like that was his last mission, and the moment he realizes, oh, I'm back. Oh shit, what did I miss?
It's actually not a bad idea.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, but again, knowing what we saw in that lab with what happened to the rat when they injected it with the goo, that's where my face went like this, because I'm expecting this xenomorph to pop out of her womb, and it was a space jockey. So that's where I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now. Shit. But I did like the ending where Rain is trying to get back in, and it's quiet, it's calm. That came straight from the video game, because in the video game, when Ripley's daughter is trying to get out of there, all of a sudden it's quiet, but then she's surrounded by 10 xenomorph before she has to eject, and blow the thing up.
That's cool.
So again, there's a lot of great callbacks, and that's why I'm just like, you know what? A lot of it just works for me.
Yeah, me too.
Because at the end of the day, when I revisit those last 15 minutes, I might look at it very differently as we are discussing it right now. And that's why I feel like we were talking about having a series about Weyland-Yutani to kind of like fill in those blanks and expand the world. I also would like to have that final chapter that bridges Covenant and Prometheus to just put that to bed, and then in whatever way you can to just go into the first Alien movie, and we're done. We never have to revisit that again.
You want the death of David? Do you want to see David die?
I want to see David wake up and find out it was all a dream. No, he didn't create these xenomorphs. They're still aliens.
But the thing
Yes,
is that David is the
and Newt
father.
runs up and gives him a hug around the neck.
Yeah, but we discussed this years ago when we were looking at those artist renderings from
Blomkamp.
no, not Blomkamp, the guy who initially made the xenomorph designs and
Oh,
everything.
Giger.
Giger, yeah. You see all the Giger designs, and I think I there was even one where it had like this female form and around
Oh,
the
yeah.
area. Like I'm just like, oh, now I get it. Dave is the father bastardizing motherhood, and that's where the xenomorph was born as we know it now, because that's what Covenant was. It was just granted because the studio mandated, it was fast tracking to get to the xenomorph we know today.
Right.
Well, and that's the sort of disheartening thing, is that I don't want to see the origins of, the first person to discover the whatever of, well, I guess we have, like, we've already seen the beginnings of the xenomorph through the Black Goo and Project Prometheus. But I don't really, when I watch Alien, I don't think about Prometheus. When I watch Aliens, I do not think about Prometheus. When I watch Alien 3, no. Like, the only time I think about Prometheus is when I'm watching Prometheus, Covenant, or this one. And I like this one, but at best, I would say I'm going to drop it down to a 7. And I'm going to say at best, this is the Star Trek Generations of Alien films. I do enjoy Rain and Andy. I think the cast is distinct. And I think that the tension is earned, although there are some flubs with, oh no, acid blood is very important. Until now, I always hate it when they're like, oh, acid blood, acid blood, acid blood. And then all of a sudden, acid blood doesn't mean a good goddamn.
You would think after so many times of being exposed to the acid blood, they would make a chamber made from the hide of the xenomorph, but that's just me.
I don't know. How do you skin a xenomorph?
Well, it seems that the acid blood did come into effect because, like, once they turn the 0G off, it immediately rips a hole in the ship.
No, but the last Alien, when he says, get away from her, you bitch, wah, 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 and he shoots it, it is like, there's no acid blood. There is no reaction from the hull. Nothing splashes back on him at all. It's something that we've spent the last 7 minutes talking about how important it is not to be hit by acid. And then he jumps on an alien and he shoots it in the mind so much. And there's no reaction from the hull beneath it, nor is there any splashback. And I thought that was like, oh, come on.
Well, it's also precision firing, so.
Oh, I guess.
Hey, he is an android. He would know.
Right.
He would know.
All right. I don't know why I get mad about all this fictional shit.
So what's happening down below the chat? Tell me.
Oh, I don't know. We got Captain Infinity talking a lot of stuff about margaritas and asking the only question.
Can I get one? Can I get a margarita, please?
Well, I think we're all wasting away in Margaritaville. I'm going to go up. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Ben says, I like that theory. Or do I? And Jill says, exactly. I was only talking about the seed where the movie started from. And it grew from there in regards to Alien.
All these breeding kinks. Seeds, origins, shit.
Well, and that's it. Finity says, okay, relax. I'm fine.
Are you? Are you fine?
Nah, well, he's okay enough.
You can tell me.
Yeah, no, there's plenty going on in the chat, but I think everybody's entertaining themselves in the chat. I don't know if anybody's asking anything of us specifically. So if there are any questions for the panel, please feel free and direct them directly. But that's it. Like, do you guys have any, now that we've rated it, I'm going to go for a 7. Ernesto, you're going for an 8. Kat, you're going for a 6.
Probably, it was either an 8 or a 7.5, so it's somewhere in there. That's a sweet spot. 7.5 to
8. Jill in chat says, just wanting to get away from the sunless planet is fine. I actually like that, but it was just a series of action scenes taken from past movies pasted together with not much meaning except survival. I don't know, like, what do you
Well, that's kind of what, you know.
action scenes from past movies? What was specifically being lifted?
Well, the way I guess one scene she might be referring to is that, and you see it in the trailer where you see Rain holding the gun, and she's kind of made to look like Ripley in a sense with the flamethrower. And then the scene where
Yeah.
she's shooting the xenomorphs one by one is basically Hicks and everybody else just shooting their way through from the top. I guess that could be those scenes. And then the get away from her, you bitch.
Yes.
You can do the stutter. Nobody's going to cancel you for it.
And then, the whole climax, no, like in the trailer, you know, where they use the song "You Are My Lucky Star," it was
Yeah.
just not in the movie, which I was fine with. But
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, yeah, it would be great to have a movie where it doesn't have blatant callbacks and cameos and just be its own thing, but it ain't stopping now. Every Bond movie's gonna have it. Every Batman movie's gonna have it. Every Star Trek movie's gonna have it.
Except, you know what? And the only thing we will not do is digitally recreate Chadwick Boseman, because that would
God
be
forbid.
disrespectful
God
to
forbid.
his estate.
God
We
forbid.
cannot recast Black Panther, but I want Ian Holm in a new Alien movie next week.
Yeah.
oh God,
Okay, let me ask you, which one looks worse, Ian Holmes or Grand Moff Tarkin?
Oh, Grand Moff.
I thought Tarkin looked a bit better.
No, Tarkin looked like a CGI cutscene. I did, but again, it was the nature of his CGI supporting performance is that I was expecting him to be synthetic, and so him looking synthetic allowed me to disassociate it.
How do
It was still better than the fake head that they had in the original Alien.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, for people like us, where we know where to look for the uncanny valley, for someone who's not that into whatever, they're just watching it and it is what it is. If it looks weird to them, does it look weird because they think it's supposed to be weird, or something in their brain something is weird but they don't know why? Because we know why it looks weird. But for the regular Joe, it's like, well, he looks damaged, so he's supposed to look that way. But at the same time, there's that part of your brain that's just like, this does not look natural to me, even if it's an android.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think it is. I think it's based on the level of your own suspension of disbelief.
And yet Jurassic Park still looks great to this day. You know what? That movie has a better digital to animatronic ratio than any other movie in it of all time.
Oh yeah, the original.
And it blends so seamlessly.
Well, and it's strange because Kat, you and I and Steve talked about the clone Attack of the Clones last night, and my suspension of disbelief going into that movie was like it was so suspended. My disbelief was incredibly suspended, and I never questioned the reality of the situation. The CGI did not bother me because it was ubiquitous.
Well, except for that CGI diner. Sheesh.
I love we did talk about it.
I
We did
hate
talk
that
about
CGI
it.
diner. I'm like,
I know. I talked about how people hated it.
This is like the Vespas in freaking.
Anyway, I do. If there are any final thoughts on Alien Romulus, do you recommend it? Would you say people go see it in the theater?
Yeah, I'd recommend it for theater. Support the franchise.
Yeah, I recommend that too. See it on the biggest screen possible with the best sound you can. You can do IMAX, you can do Cinemark, you can do Regal.
I would just say go see it in the theater. Make it hold your attention for the duration of the film.
And
Also,
this is a
get
great
some popcorn.
And it is a great date movie, so take them.
Yeah. I do want to thank everyone in the chat. Chief Judge Infinity. I don't believe in your rank, but I do appreciate your presence. Tiger Stripes, it is always a pleasure.
Yes.
I'll see you very soon. Phantom Organist, thank you for being here. I hope your colon is feeling better. His colon was wrong, right? DJ Play Nice, rock. Yes, DJ Play Nice, it is fantastic to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you hit the like. If you haven't hit the like yet, Daniel's Hot Topics has hit the like. He is amazing. It is so great.
Like,
Anti-derivative Jill is here, whether she likes it or not, and also Cinema Gulp. Cinema Gulp, thank you for putting up with our mild appreciation for a film that you loathe. Everyone should go subscribe to Cinema Gulp. I don't think he loathes it. He was disappointed. He's not mad. He's disappointed. But go subscribe to Cinema Gulp. He does have a review of this film. And judge for yourself. Again, Tiger Stripes. Yo! Hot. And I think, is that everybody? Daniel's Hot Topic? This is fascinating broadcast.
go, my child.
I think that's everybody. I think that's everybody who is here, everyone who has existed in the history of this this stream. So are we done? Can we go? I want to go smoke.
We can.
We can.
Are we done? Okay, so what is the sign off from another random review? What is it? What is it?
Thank my lucky stars.
Oh, I would have just said not bad for a human.